our passion about weather. We are weather hobbyists, not professionals. We do not profess to be professionals. However, we are passionate about the weather and we love to learn about it. Our presentations are as much to educate ourselves as they are to educate you. Grab a snack, a drink, and sit back and enjoy the show. My name is Patty. My call sign is KD0AEL, and I welcome you. Along with me, I have my fellow geeks, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hey, I am KA0SBM. I'm kind of hiding out behind the scenes. And I'm hearing an echo. Somebody's got a speaker turned up.
Oh, it may have... Well, no, I'm on headphones, so it shouldn't have been me.
It's probably me.
Way to go, Rodney. Over to you for an introduction.
Steve is our producer, by the way. He likes to hide behind another screen, but he is very much a part of this show.
Go ahead.
Did that echo go away?
Yeah, it's good.
All right. We're still getting all the bugs worked out. Hi, I'm Rodney. My call sign is K0FZ. And again, as Pazzy said, I'm a weather enthusiast, geek, nerd, whatever you want to call it. But we're here, and hopefully we'll learn something and teach you something in the meantime.
And I am Franklin KD0RSJ, the coordinator for Greene County Skywarn and assistant with the regional Skywarn as well. And we're here not only to bring you some weather facts and information, but possibly maybe in between there a joke or two and a little bit of entertainment as well.
So tonight, since I haven't given you this, Patty, I'm going to do it now. Our itinerary for the evening is weather coverage, weather radar oddities, and that's your baby, Patty. And the rant.
Weather radar oddities. I like that. I should have named this that.
Weather radar oddities. Say that 3 times fast.
I can't do it.
Weather radar oddities, weather radar oddities, weather radar oddities.
Uh-oh.
Okay, well, he did it. All right, cool.
I'm surprised, but...
Okay. Green's all set up here. So what are we kicking off with, Mr. Producer?
Well, we do have some weather coverage, and I think maybe the biggest news tonight is Tropical Storm Isaias. And let me get a graphic up here so everybody can have a look. And that would be courtesy of the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. The National Hurricane Center is issuing advisories in the Atlantic for Tropical Storm Isaias. Let me get to that page where it talks about it. And Isaias will produce heavy rains and potentially life-threatening flash flooding and mudslides across Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, northern Haiti, Turks and Caicos, and the Bahamas. I'm having a hard time getting that spit out. Hurricane conditions and dangerous storm surge are expected into portions of the central and northwest Bahamas late Friday and Saturday. So, to point out, they have shown a graphic here that you can see on the National Hurricane Center where they're discussing the timing and movement of the storm. So one thing that's true about these things is you have to pretty much keep after it every day to watch what's happening, because these things are steered by high and low pressure areas on the continent. So it can change from day to day. So if you live in the eastern seaboard, and obviously paying attention to your local media is going to be important here. But if you were to you need to keep tabs on your local radar, local weather forecasters, because they're going to give you the most up-to-date information. But as you can see, it's due to hit some of the most populated parts of the United States continent, continental lower 48, and so there's going to be some folks who, at a minimum, are not going to need to water their garden for a while. So that's my addition to this. I will mention that. Let me see what our friends at the hwn.org. They are not currently active on the Hurricane Watch net, so they've issued a level 3 standby mode. I'll bring that graphic up so y'all can see it.
Of note, they do expect this to be at least a Category 1 when it makes landfall on the southeast shores of Florida this weekend. So at the present, at least the most recent information I found on it, sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. So this thing will wreak some havoc even at that.
I mean, we're not talking Katrina type damage here, but anytime a hurricane blows ashore, it's serious.
Yeah.
And lives are at risk.
And even tropical storms or even sometimes tropical depressions can cause some damage and stuff too.
They can, even in just, the storm surge alone can cause damage, but you have winds of, well, if it's hurricane strength when it hits shore, 75 mile per hour sustained winds will rip roofs off homes and take trees down. So 60's not that far behind it. And there will be, no doubt, tornado risks along the way too.
And so that may be the dominant weather feature of the continental United States at this time. And if anybody has something local that they would like to point out, please speak now.
I can share my screen here real quickly if the other boys aren't ready. They did drop the flash flood watch that we had going for our area. They don't expect widespread flooding. However, with these storms that are currently moving into our watch warn area, there will be some localized flooding possible. There is a low pressure system steering these our way, so they're saying that these storms may even be around into the early morning hours for the drive times. So definitely be weather aware and be aware of any flooding in the area, because some spots, not everybody, but some spots have had tremendous amounts of rain. I know that there were places in Springfield that barely got a quarter of an inch, and we had an inch and a half. So it's been very spotty, and from neighborhood to neighborhood is going to be different with these storms. So I am seeing a little bit of a hail signature there too on some of these. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, I was going to say yesterday, Mom had to have physical therapy. She's got a bone spur on one of her heels, and she's got some issues that she's had off and on for a few years with plantar fasciitis. And they tried to do some injections in the heel. The first one did really well. The second one didn't do as well. So the doctor said, okay, time to switch over to physical therapy. They're going to try that for a little bit, and if that doesn't help, then that means surgery. But she had physical therapy there at the Sports Medicine Center there at, I'm blanking on the name of the street now. It's there on Fremont, just right past the Whiteside building. That's...
Oh yeah, I know where you're talking about, right there,
Cherokee
and Fremont.
Well, it's just past the intersection. It's the next intersection south of Cherokee. It's the one that runs alongside the library. If you keep on going east, Glenstone. Um, while we were in there, heavy rainfall. Whenever I went out to get the car, it was literally pouring cats and dogs for about a minute, 2 minutes. I'm not for sure exactly how long it was pouring before that. And then it lit up. And then over here at the apartment, I think approximately around the same time or just shortly after, it poured for a while as well and then lit up.
Well, I'm glad we're getting the rain because they were already putting out drought forecasts, and we were in a drought. And after all those spring rains, it's hard to imagine, but summer heat really takes that moisture away. And anyway, I think we're going to make up for a little bit of it. I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm on the Springfield National Weather Service's page right now, and it looks like up around Sedalia, north of Clinton, and just a little bit west of Jefferson City, they've still got a couple, 3 flash flood warnings, and kind of off to our far east. Looks like they've still got some flash flood watch, but most of southwest Missouri looks like is, like you said earlier, is kind of in the clear for that.
So something interesting came up in chat just a few minutes ago, and it's worthy of sharing. They're saying that they've been taking calls at the Weather Service about different locations: Springfield, Buffalo, Waynesville. Low clouds with rotation and possible funnel clouds. While there's no severe weather in the area and none is expected, they are saying this is possible since there is a front sitting over the top of us and cloud heights are very low. But the threat of anything touching down is very, very, very minimal. So if you start getting posts from people or texts from people that they're seeing these things, it is possible.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I think part of what we got going on tonight, guys, just to be for everyone to understand where the Jungle Chaser Storm team is right now. The majority of us that you see on the screen, except for Patty, just installed a new repeater on our location where our 9-1 repeater's at, and most of us just got in the door.
Pretty much.
And I don't know.
Steve walked in literally as I loaded up the Jungle Chasers page to make an announcement that we might not be on tonight. I didn't know where you guys were at in the process. So, I mean, it was just literally that moment he walked in. I was like, okay, we're good.
The show must go on.
Yeah.
The show must go on.
And it is. So, anybody have anything else they would like to share about our current weather radar, current weather conditions here in the United States? Or do we have anything on the chat that might lead us to look into something that we haven't noticed?
Are you referring to like the YouTube chat?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask.
Oh, okay.
I don't think really a whole lot. Killer Bee is in the chat room, and I've been talking with him a little bit. As Rodney had mentioned, while we were working on the repeater, he just put a new CB in his off-road vehicle, and we were just kind of talking about the fact that some people that may not know, in other countries around the world that have citizens band privileges, a lot of them will allow so many channels on FM mode, where here in the United States the FCC does not allow any FM on citizens band. Now we have, of course, FM for amateur radio. Pretty much most all of our repeaters, whether they're 2 meters, 70 centimeters, or even the 10-meter repeaters that are throughout the country, mostly operate on FM. So we just have kind of been talking about that, and he had mentioned that where he's at, if I'm not mistaken, he's either in or close to London. He said that they need some rain there. They've been having a heat wave, and I'm sure they could probably use some rain if we could kind of send it their way across the Atlantic.
Sure, we will be soon. A large amount of
We'll
it.
be right on that.
Yes.
We're going to send the remnants of a hurricane, I think, right up the coast, right across.
Kind of up the coast, across the corner of Canada, and on up into England.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we're pleased.
IE, by the way.
We're pleased to provide that service, and tell Killer Bees thanks for asking. So, the next order of business on our show this evening is Patty's Radar Oddities. And
I should have named it that. I really should have. So, a question was asked last week about images on the radar. Pardon me while I get this sharing. Why don't we see all the clouds on radar? And I can guess, but I can't tell you for sure. Well, I can now, because that wasn't something I had ever studied. So I thought tonight I'd answer that question. And Franklin, do you remember who asked that?
Oh, I don't remember. Was it possibly Heather?
It might have been. It might have been. I honestly don't remember. Anyway, so the main focus of tonight's little brief presentation is why don't clouds show up on radar? We had a great example of that today. It became a bit overcast and none of that was showing up. So we're going to find out why. Come on, mouse.
Nice.
So, weather radar emits a narrow beam of microwave radiation into the atmosphere and records any of this radiation that reflects back to the radar from objects in the atmosphere. Remember the word objects as we go along. The microwave radiation emitted by weather radar typically has a wavelength in between a few centimeters and 10 centimeters. Radiation with these wavelengths will reflect from objects that are sufficiently large, but will propagate right past smaller objects. Objects typically large enough to reflect microwaves emitted by weather radar include raindrops, snowflakes, hailstones, and other forms of precipitation. Note, clouds are not on this list. Okay, we'll get back to that. So it will even do birds. This is a radar image of bird migration. And we'll talk a little bit more about this here in just a short bit. Clouds are aggregates of vast numbers of tiny water droplets or ice crystals that's suspended in the air. Under the right circumstances, cloud droplets and or ice crystals can coalesce to form raindrops, snowflakes, hailstones, or other precipitation particles. It takes about 1 million cloud particles to make one precipitation particle with a diameter 100 times larger than the cloud particles. So the cloud particles are barely more than gas, right? Mm-hmm. Precipitation particles are big enough to fall out of a cloud and reach the Earth's surface before evaporating, whereas cloud particles are not. Precipitation particles are large enough to reflect microwaves, where cloud particles are not. They're invisible to the radar, in other words. Weather radars can detect precipitation, but can't see clouds at all. So, some of the other things you might see on radar, because they are things. Here's a little in motion. Birds, bugs, and other things. This was probably a bird migration.
Gotcha.
So, Patty, quick question then. So this
Sure.
is one big reason why, or maybe it's just more of a statement, but this is a big reason why we use the GOES satellite and just weather satellites in general. Because normally they'll say, oh, it's a nice, pretty day. There's no radar, there's no precipitation on radar. But let's look at the clouds, and then you can see how the clouds are, and then you're able to identify, fronts that are moving in, or different things like that. So when you can't pick up stuff on radar, then that's when meteorologists fall back on the satellite view, right?
Yes, exactly. You got a little ahead of me there, but we'll go there.
Oh boy.
No, that's fine. Because I'm not going into the radar part of it or the satellite part of it tonight. I think that there's enough there for a whole other presentation.
Okay.
But they are used together. They're a great complement because the satellite view gets the cloud tops. It can't tell you the cloud types. During the day, the sun reflects off the cloud tops, and so you get that beautiful white, billowy looking image from the satellite. And then they use infrared at night. But it can only see the cloud tops, whereas the radar shoots through the clouds to get its image. So it's a great complement.
Now, see, I had a question that I was thinking about you when you had said that it only sees the cloud tops. I was wondering if the infrared could maybe see beyond the cloud tops, but even that still only captures the tops, correct?
It also collects the temperatures.
Okay. So that's what they actually get the temperatures off of is the infrared satellite.
Right.
Okay, cool.
So this is an image of a bug hatch. And this happens quite frequently. The mayflies, there's others. This was up near La Crosse, Wisconsin. I couldn't find the actual video of this, but it's just amazing how many millions of bugs will hatch all at once and the radar picks it up.
And they're everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere. It'll pick up airplanes, though I couldn't locate a real good image of when that happens. But radar is used to detect plane movement, not necessarily weather radar, but our weather radar does pick up those objects.
Interesting.
That image there, what they show is airplanes have a transponder in them so that when the radar hits them, they identify what they are. Normally, those would just be specks.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Rodney. No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, didn't at some point we were talking to some of the meteorologists, and they said when they get bored, they see how fast people are speeding down the highway?
So I work with a lady whose brother works for the National Weather Service, and will just not say where. And she said she got a phone call from him one day, and he told her what she was doing in her backyard.
Ooh.
Nah, I don't buy it.
We must have had a cloud parting, and the visible radar, visible satellite was just in the right position.
The
I
government
don't
can
know
do
what
that, but I don't
access
think
to.
the meteorologists can do that.
All I know is what I was told. I know no more. I do know a name and I do know a location, but identities are protected here, okay?
I was going to say a moment ago, Steve, I just always figured that the airplane's transponders sent out their signal every so often, just automatically. That's interesting that they can activate whenever the plane actually gets hit by that radar beam. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of different systems. There's one that operates around 1090 megahertz. That is actually something that just transmits all the time. But the old basic transponders always were that the radar would activate activate them when it passed over them. So that way, then each one of the air traffic controllers got its own updated data set every time the radar made a swing. So it wasn't, you wouldn't have the same information on every screen. So it all ties together, and I don't know the whole thing because I'm certainly not an air traffic controller, but I have inadvertently studied it because I had an interest in weather radar.
Gotcha.
Now, so that goes with another subject then, is if all radar, or if radars can pick up airplanes, how is it that the stealth bomber can be completely, invisible
yes.
to the radar?
That's
you
radar
know?
jamming.
Well,
That's radar jamming capability.
well,
It's not completely invisible, but it's very close. But
Yeah.
that's why they use a transponder.
My understanding is it provides a very, very slim profile, and some of it is the shape of the planes and the material that they're made out of. Part of it deflects the signal, but deflects it in a way where it doesn't necessarily go back to the radar it came from, but also some of the material that they're made out of will actually kind of partially absorb some of that energy so that it doesn't go back to the radar.
Cool. Well,
I may not be 100% accurate about that, but I believe that's what I have heard. In addition to, it's just the size and the shape just creates such a small profile.
Oh, well, I definitely don't want to take away from your presentation, but that would be kind of cool to talk about.
This is great information to talk about. I have no problem being interrupted. We were here, airplanes. I didn't have a whole lot more. I thought I'd keep this one brief because I didn't want to separate out the satellite part of this. Mm-hmm. But the thing that they have in common, I think we've already figured out. Everything that the radar can pick up is an object. It can even pick up buildings and mountains under the right circumstances. Mm-hmm. When we have air inversions, this is when the radar will typically pick up those things. An inversion will actually bend the beam of the radar so that it's more into the areas where these things are. For example, insects don't go very high. They might be sending beams out from Willard. We get an air inversion and they're aimed west. We have ridges out that way. It might actually reflect off of those. You'll hear us refer to scatter that we see. Some of that is buildings, some of that is dust particles. Anything that is solid in the air or as refracted during an air inversion can be picked up by the radar. So the clouds, they're there. They are just not particles large enough for the radar to detect, and the radar will just shoot through them.
Gotcha.
I think it's interesting too how we can also identify like fires, or you can also. I mean, I've even seen some images of things related to like nuclear. I don't know if I said that right. Nuclear. Anyway, nuclear. So like when they were talking about there was a nuclear power plant not too far, and they saw almost kind of like shock waves, or maybe it was just birds related, reacting to that. But there was some discussion on some of those Facebook forums, and it's always kind of interesting to me how that plays out. And you can also see things like the it has to do with the waves. I don't know, is it like surface waves? I guess is the way to explain it, but like you've seen it on radar where you can almost see, not the seismic waves, but you can see waves of energy, kind of just passing through. It's not necessarily clouds, but it's something else. I don't know how that, and it has to do with some kind of electromagnetic. Otherwise, the radar wouldn't pick it up, right?
It would have to be some kind of particle that the radar's picking up.
Huh.
Otherwise, you're seeing those in satellite images. So what I pulled up here is a current radar image from Dodge City, Kansas, and that is not rain, folks. That is not rain at all. Let me put this in action. So this is windmills. These are windmill fields.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, they are there. They don't move. They're constantly on the radar. So remember this, if you're tracking storms through areas where they have windmills, you're going to have this going on all the time.
Well, is it because the propellers of the turbines moving is constantly kind of causing currents and stuff?
Yeah, but that's part of it. Part of it is they're just that tall.
Gotcha.
So they're located close.
Down in the Jasper area, so we will start seeing this on our radar too.
So down around Jasper, Missouri, then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna put up a different image so it kind of looks a little bit more like what you would think it should look. And that's College of DuPage. You can see the windmills, they are not moving, and they flicker.
So it's kind of like ground clutter, basically. You have kind of a static image that just doesn't really move very much or any at all.
Right.
It just sits there.
Yep.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So do large buildings show up on radar as well?
Yes.
How do they correspond to that? Did they just shoot the beam over the top of them?
I think that I'd have to ask one of them that question.
Okay, so here is a place where there are large buildings, and that's a right now radar image. They just switched to a more active radar, but that's real close to downtown Chicago, but you don't really see all that much.
So it went from 35 to probably 212 on the imagery.
I'm looking
from clear air to precipitation mode. Interesting. Yeah, that's a great demonstration of that.
Now that we have some big windmills that Patty and I saw out just north of Joplin, but they will not be high enough really to cause that kind of, and they're too far out.
It'd be interesting, being they're mostly static and not moving, if someone could write an algorithm or program that would take those out of the radar data so that you just got the stuff that was moving. I wonder if that would be possible.
Oh, I bet you that would probably be easy.
Yeah.
They may already have that in place in the radar, which is why we don't even notice it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Might be. So, Doppler radar, one of the things it gave us, just as a side note here, it provides indirect information about wind speeds and wind patterns in precipitating clouds. Note I didn't say direct information, it's indirect information. For example, it can reveal the presence of strong wind shear near the ground, which are hazards for aircraft when they try to take off and land. Circulation patterns, you'll hear them refer to mesocyclones that can develop inside thunderstorms before such storms produce tornadoes. But these only show precipitation patterns and intensities, not the actual wind speeds and directions. So, yeah, it can't pick up the wind because the wind's not an object. What I've got on the screen now is just simply a difference. We show the radar images all the time. This is a photo I grabbed from Wunderground yesterday. I did a screenshot of it. And this was the infrared radar at the time I grabbed the shot. And this is the cloud tops across the continental United States. So, and in this one, because it was infrared, you can see by the coloration there were differences in temperatures in the cloud tops.
So, okay. So when let's say we're looking down there, just, to the west, I would believe, of the Texas Panhandle, you see where it's really bright red and whatnot there. Was that like a large mass that had a lot of I guess moisture from the ocean, and that's why it looks like it's a lot warmer based on that? Or
that would be my guess.
Okay, all right.
All right. So I'm going to show a link here, and had a discussion with Steve about actually showing the video, and we didn't want to interfere with any copyright problems. So they give a great explanation in this video about radar, bugs, bats, sunrise times, and why you'll see it at certain times of the day and other times you won't. So if you want to do a screen grab of that or something and follow up with that, he does a really beautiful job of explaining this. And if we need to bring it back up later, I can bring it back up. So most of this information I got from the California Regional Weather Server, a little bit from weather.com, and of course, as always, U.S. National Weather Service. I want to thank them all for that information on the internet. And that's all I have tonight. But I did add something, gentlemen. See what you think about this.
Hey, nice picture.
Nice.
I've got something to add. Because we have a UK listener. And their weather service is the Met Office. Now, honestly, I haven't spent a lot of time digging into their actual radar feeds, but this is something that comes from metoffice.gov.uk. So, for those of our listeners who are in other places, there are some countries that provide really good radar feeds. And I'm sure that if I dug deeper, I would probably find, more meteorological sites out of Britain. There is rain in the area up there for Killer Bee's sake, but it's not where he wants it to be.
Looks like it's more in Scotland.
Yeah, Scotland and the very east coast of Ireland are getting rain, and London, unfortunately, nada.
Yeah.
Not happening.
Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit in Northern Ireland, kind of west of Belfast. And then I'm trying to look there. It looks like just like the northern part of England. Probably, I'd say, if my geography is correct, a little bit south of, is it Hadrian's Wall, which was the Roman wall that was kind of built, that kind of separated England and Scotland out, if that's about where that's at.
I think that's in the skinny part.
Yeah, but yeah, down around London, it looks dry, and looks like the west coast of Ireland is getting a little bit of rain. But...
Yeah. West coast. I think I said east, but I meant west. It's the far west. But I think
he's saying Scotland is always raining.
Always raining. We kind of take for granted that we have North American weather services that are pretty well covered, and it looks to me like the British Isles are quite well covered. What I think is not so well covered is Canada, but then again, when you get past that 150, 200 miles from the border, there just isn't anybody up there, really. You know?
Yeah, it's mostly all industrial, and that's pretty widely spread apart, isn't it?
Oil wells, gold mines, and diamond mines.
Diamond mines. Yeah, that's what I was going to get ready to say. I was quite surprised to learn.
Oh, my.
We had been watching last year and earlier this year the Ice Road Truckers show on one of the local over-the-air channels. And until we were watching that, I did not realize there are freaking diamond mines in northern Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, apparently
There's
quite
diamond
large.
in their heels.
Yeah, De Beers has a huge diamond mine up there. I think they said it's like close to one of the largest ones in the world. It's kind of almost like they're kind of not abandoning Africa, but kind of pulling out so much of Africa and diamond mines in Canada, which of course anyone who ever studied what came during and after the American gold rush in California, the Yukon territory, they had their own gold rush, and they're still to today continues to be gold mines up in northern Canada.
We when I was younger went to a river, the English River in northwest Ontario, which was about 50 miles from the Red Lake gold mine, which at the time there were still people alive that were complaining that they built a reservoir up there which covered up all the good gold panning on the English River. That totally disrupts the gold panning. I mean, it's not to mention the parts that are completely underwater, the stuff that's below it, it just, there's nothing left. It just washes it all away. So, big problems. Well, the other location that we fished at, the lake was called Wabigoon and Norwick, or two lakes together. Just north of there was a lake called Thunder Lake. That, of course, just because of the name, we thought, we got to go fishing on Thunder Lake. It's got to be cool, But it almost had no beaches. It just went like a big pit. And apparently they found gold under that lake. And they're following a vein right down under it, which blows me away. Red Lake is over 5,000 feet deep. And if you live up there, that's the place to be in the wintertime because it's always warm. But I can't imagine here's a lake, we're just going to dig a hole under it and get the gold out. That's just like,
That would be such an engineering marvel to do. It probably can be done. I mean, heck, they built the Channel Tunnel under the English Channel between England and France, but remember how long that took, and I'd hate to think how much that cost. It'd be something like on that scale, if not larger, to do. It's probably just not practical why they haven't done it.
This is a map. Now, we're used to our little reservoirs down here. Mm-hmm. The length of Wabigoon is about 10 miles. And that's 10 miles of straight open water.
Gotcha.
And let me tell you, when the wind blows out of the west, the waves are huge.
Okay, quick question. Would anything like Table Rock or Lake of the Ozarks be comparable to that, or are we more referring to like Great Lake size or larger?
Oh, well, Table Rock probably is about equivalent to Wabigoon. It really is. But then you add on the Norwick Lake, which, if you can see on what I've got on my camera, it is twice as much. And then you got all these little connected lakes.
Yeah.
When I went here, we stayed in Wabigoon, which was a little community, and we fished south of that in the little chains of lakes. One of those was called Monument Bay because doctors had a little monument on an island, and his buddy threw his ashes out of a float plane as they flew over that little bay.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
And of course, we had names for stuff too, but it probably wasn't what the actual name was.
The actual official name.
Right, like Post Bay and Horseshoe, and I mean, we all knew where they were. It's just that nobody else did.
Kind of like those local names. That's like there's a hill on around from my grandparents' house. You take their farm road on around, and it curves back around, goes up a hill, kind of goes down a little bit and up a little bit of another hill, and comes out on 125 out just east of Stratford by where the softball field used to be. And just a lot of people around there call that first little hill, I think, Donovan Hill, because there was a guy by the name of Donovan who used to own a house right at the top of that hill. So, you know, the local people know these areas by those names, but maybe someone from out of town might be like, I don't see that on the map.
So the big lake in the picture there is called Rainy Lake, and the story was that this Rainy Lake is so big, they called it that because it was always raining somewhere on Rainy Lake. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I would say that its overall reach, even though there was a lot of land intrusions in it, was quite well, well, you know, Lake Superior and that's big, but I mean, these are big bodies of water up in there. So
almost like inland seas.
Kinda,
to
yeah.
The Great Lakes.
Yeah, Lake of the Woods, I think you could call that, and Lake Manitoba and Lake Nipigon, I think they almost could include those as Great Lakes. Those are just enormous. The old man said, I ain't going to go there, I'll get lost. I'm like, we got maps, we're good. I could always find my way around in those places, but he had trouble.
Just as long as someone put Donovan Hill on the map, we're fine.
Of course, then, here's a little, before we go into the rant feature, there is, oh boy, this little stretch of land right up in here that's called the Northwest Angle. And it is the United States, and it's far up into Canada. And if you notice, there are no land connections to it. So you have to drive through Canada to get to it.
Or go across the water.
Or go across the water, but if you look at the size of that water, let me pull the map back up, you can see it.
A lot of people fly.
Well, yeah, I mean, up there having a float plane's like having a pickup truck around here.
I imagine.
That's the Northwest Angle. And if you were to leave from Birch Beach and land just somewhere, that's 15 miles across the water. And there's nothing out there. And the part that Dad said that we would get lost in is this. He thought we'd get lost in that. And I'm like, we're good. We can find our way.
Just find a shoreline and just keep going along it until you run into something else.
Oh, you couldn't no way fish, if you were going to fish that, there's no way you could cover any length of it. You'd have to pick places, 4 or 5 different places along the way. And
or you could have taken the Dungeons and Dragons notion that every time you come up to a turn, always go left, and that will eventually get you out to someplace else.
Yeah.
In theory.
Boy,
Not
I'll tell you.
necessarily back where you started.
I can personally attest that's not always the case.
But that's far away from what we were actually talking about. And all of this actually is covered by the Canadian Weather Office. Patty, do you remember what they're called now? I can't.
There's a cloud in the sky, eh?
Yeah, it's.
Look up, eh?
We are the ultra environmentalist.
No, that's what it is. You did it. Environment Canada.
Environment
Oh,
Canada.
Environment Canada. See? Ultimate environmentalists.
And they're weather.gc.ca.
OES.ca.
Yeah.
Don't forget
Hey.
that.
Mexico, nobody knows. You know, they had the hurricane blew ashore in Texas, and it went right into Mexico, and you just didn't hear another peep about what happened down there. That seems a little odd to me, doesn't it to you, guys?
It went into an area that's
Yes and no.
very loosely populated. There
Sparsely.
just aren't very many people there. Not like if it had gone into Cancun or one of the tourist areas. It went into the mountains on the eastern side of Mexico, and it's just not very populated.
Well, and not only that, not meaning to be speaking disparagingly against Mexico, but in the last 2 or 3 decades, their economy has been so bad. The peso has taken such a hit against other currencies and stuff. I just wonder if they have a lot of extra funding to really fund an extensive weather service. I mean,
They
that
do.
stuff takes money.
They have one, the SSMN. But it's basically, if you wanted to do your own translation, Service Meteorological National. My Spanish is terrible, so I'm not going to try.
I took 2 years of French, kind of similar to Spanish in some ways, but not completely.
Yeah, but...
Muy poquito.
Yeah,
Uh,
no idea.
Teat, maybe.
But,
Pico.
you know,
Pico.
as much as some have said, hey, you know, North America is not, we're 3 separate countries, we're a lot more connected than what you would think.
Yeah.
You would think we would have a little better radar weather coverage. But,
Well,
hey,
I think the Canadian Service and the U.S. National Weather Service, I think they kind of work together, at least to some extent, on some level, fairly decently.
All of
But
them
I
across
just
the
don't-
world do.
I don't know what it's like between us and Mexico. Like I said, I didn't even really know if they had very much of an organized national weather system or not.
they have Skywarn in Canada,
Yeah.
but do they have it in
Germany.
Mexico? Yeah, in Germany too. No Skywarn in Canada. I mean in Mexico.
In Mexico.
New Mexico.
And
Oh,
we
no,
plan
that-
to have it in New Mexico.
That almost would be my rant right there is we
No Skywarn, New
Oh
Mexico.
boy.
Although a moment ago, whenever we were talking about going to it, and then we got off onto this tangent, Killer B had said that the rant is his favorite part of the show.
the what?
The rant is his favorite part of our show.
Oh, is it? I knew it!
No, we got a following.
I knew it. But that I'll just say, and we started it before I called it. That's my rant: is that we don't get enough information from these neighboring countries.
Countries.
And you know, Killer B could certainly chime in and say, does he hear a heck of a lot of weather from France? Because you'd think, as close as they are, they would.
Yeah.
Or do they hate each other across the channel? You know.
Well, I think the fact that France is no longer a monarchy. I think some of those tensions have lessened over the years. So I think the fact that one is not trying to conquer the other to add to their empire, I believe they're more amicable now. So they might share some weather information. Being it would be very easy to pop someone on the train, go under the English Channel, and just have the train open up and infantry just pours out on the other side.
Yeah.
It's probably a little bit of that mutually assured destruction thing that keeps our French and British allies friendly with each other.
You know what? They got an advantage over there. The French guys can complain about the English guys, and they won't understand what they're saying, and vice versa. I mean, the French guys can be really nasty, and the English guys can be like, I don't understand, whatever.
It's sort of like the castle scene in Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Kinda, yeah.
Now, he did chime in, and he said, no, we only get our local weather on TV. Even hear about Scotland or any of them. So I guess apparently they just kind of get information from their local weather people. And I think he said that even Scotland he has to look up separately because everyone knows the United Kingdom and everything, but does not realize Scotland's actually semi-autonomous. They have their own separate parliament from the UK Parliament, and they get to do a certain amount of stuff on their own, separate from what the British Parliament says. In fact, I believe they even, as part of that Parliament, I think they have their own Prime Minister, but they still have to kind of, in general, follow a lot of the precepts and the rules and the regulations and stuff set up by the British Parliament in London. But they are kind of semi-autonomous as well.
What about Wales?
Wales, I think, is UK's New Jersey. And pretty much everyone is like, well, that's Wales.
I mean, honestly, certainly not from there. Killer Beast could probably clue us in on the facts, but I've heard that the Welsh are not very popular. But the ones who are really not popular are the Manx, and on that little island. And I heard that it was mutual. They hated everybody, and everybody hated them back. So I don't know if that's true, but
everything that I have read, it's accurate, Rodney.
I'm sure Killer B could give us some stories about that area.
If you were to go and to the Isle of Man to see the tourist trophy, which is the great motorcycle race they have there, you'd probably want to disguise where you're from.
Kind of like going to an Ohio-Michigan game. You want to cover your license plate when you pull in the parking lot if you're in the opposite state. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
And Killer B did just reply, no, they aren't, and yes, it's true.
Oh, no. Thank you for that clarification.
I kind of wonder if part of that is, like so many other parts of the United Kingdom, if it's kind of the way they came into the United Kingdom, because I know Ireland, it was kind of a bit of a rough patch, as was Scotland, which eventually led to the vote on Home Rule, which ended up dividing Ireland into Northern Ireland, including Belfast, stayed in the UK, and the rest of Ireland, including Dublin, they said, no, we want to be our own country again.
I got the feeling that the Irish are kind of like, they're kind of like that little brother that you beat up on a regular basis, But
Yeah,
if
well,
somebody
it's-
else
the
comes
red
in,
You just
Stepchild.
gotta put it back.
if the French came in and attacked Ireland, you can bet the English would be over there kicking booty, because that's kind of how I feel that the relationship with the Irish is. I mean, they hate each other, just shaking their fists up
Yeah,
until the
but
point
you're not-
when
you're not gonna mess
some
with
outside
Ireland.
force comes in, and then you better not. They'll fight together to the death. I believe that that's probably true.
Probably.
I mean, it's sort of like, look at what happened to us on 9/11 in the States. I mean, we're all a bunch of loosely tied states in this big union, and everybody has their own kind of way of doing things. But you let somebody from the outside come in and throw a punch, everybody's on it.
Oh yeah, I mean, even though I mean we have good relations now, but for a while we didn't. We cast off British rule. We fought basically a trade war with them in the War of 1812, but we repaired relationships. We became great allies with them, and when 9/11 happened, Tony Blair and the entirety of Parliament said, "We're standing with America."
Yeah. Now, I'm going to give props to the British government, and maybe Killer Bees might not feel the same way, but it happened in the Gulf War when they were British soldiers that got took by the Iranians, and let me just say that the Royal Navy Marines handled it before Parliament decided what to do. I mean, the gloves come off real fast, and they might argue and fight and throw punches in Parliament, but the military is doing what it needs to do, and that is impressive. I like that.
I kind of wonder if certain key members of Parliament that were in key leadership positions, and definitely the cabinet, probably knew about that as it was happening even before the rest of Parliament did. So there was probably, I bet you, at least a little bit of minimal involvement in Parliament and the cabinet. But yeah, sometimes it's just like you can't wait on everyone else to debate and decide we need to do something now, and that definitely would be a situation where they needed to do something fairly quickly.
There's been other things that's happened since then, and Patty's heard me say it. That was a mistake. You don't capture British sailors on the high seas.
Yeah.
They don't take kindly to that. For some reason, I don't know. I mean,
They don't take kindly to that, and that would probably be something that you would see Elizabeth II jump to some excitement over and say, yeah, we need to go get them back now.
well, I hope in the big world of things that we don't need to do that kind of stuff anymore, because it's just ridiculous. However, I will say this. If you want some real entertainment, watch the British Parliament on the YouTube channels where they include all of their bickering and arguments. Oh my God. I mean, we've got C-SPAN, and it is absolutely boring in Washington, D.C. compared to what goes on in Parliament. Oh, those guys are awesome.
Questions for the Prime Minister in the House of Commons. It's kind of like Congress, but with like a 3-drink minimum. It's
Yeah.
entertaining.
Rodney, listen to this one. When you watch their deal, they're divided in half along a bunch of benches. And in the middle, there's a space, and there's a line. If you look, it's a red line, and it runs right along the front of the benches. The distance of that line is the length of an outstretched arm with a sword. To keep people from killing each other in Parliament.
I have seen times
They knew how to
whenever,
social distance way before that all happened.
Exactly.
back whenever we used to have MediaCom, and I used to watch some of it on C-SPAN. I have literally during questions to the Prime Minister, almost seen another member of the House of Commons cuss out the British Prime Minister.
But you know what?
I wouldn't doubt it.
You know what? They do it eloquently. They will degrade, denigrate, but they'll never use a cuss word. And then you see the guy that runs the gavel in the front. Sir, you must take that back. Take that back.
Then, after it's done, they all go to the nearest pub to get a pint, and then the next session it's like it's never happened.
Exactly. That's how it should be here.
Why can't we all just get along?
Right.
Killer Bee says he can pass our questions on.
I mean, I don't know if you remember. If you remember the old cartoon where the wolf and the sheepdog, and they would come and they'd punch in the morning and they'd fight each other all day, and then they'd punch out in the evening, and they're carrying their lunches like, "Oh, see you tomorrow, Bob." Okay, Jim.
I think we broke
That was Rodney.
Oh, do I need to get that one? We'll get kicked off for
Get that.
copyright.
Okay, so record me doing it.
That's all, folks.
Yeah.
So, I have a rant. Elliot
Okay, Patty's turn.
Probably not going to be.
Oh, hold on. You said rant.
I did.
Are you guys hearing it?
Yes.
Yeah, I hear it.
Okay.
So,
All right.
what you are seeing is a mask that can be bought at Party City for $3.99, and that's much less than many of the masks that are available for us to wear online. I went into Home Depot yesterday wearing one of my paper masks. I chose not to have to wash my masks that I wear to work.
Yeah.
So I'm walking through, and this blue face, whatever tall something, came walking through wearing one of these.
That's a little weird.
So he had a mask on. The
Yes,
ordinance
but
says covering your nose and mouth. Well, technically, this covers his nose and mouth. There wasn't a thing that could be said to him. Now,
Not
is
entirely.
he's a jerk. I could say some other nefarious things about his character. He's definitely treating the whole thing as a joke,
Very flippantly.
very flippantly. Hard to tell if it was young or old, but based on the clothing and the back of the haircut, probably someone in their 20s, maybe early 30s. I don't think that old. And walking with someone who was masked. This flippancy is why our rates are so high here in the state.
Yeah, but they're really
No.
not, though.
They're not.
We're not. It's not like everybody's dropping like flies. But
No.
I will argue this for our benefit. We are from the country, most of us. Country roots, at least a generation. We're not that. Our society here is not that likely to be that tightly grouped that you couldn't call it social distancing. I mean, how many times have you stood around and talked to somebody over the back end of a pickup truck? Yeah, that's what, 2 meters?
Around the campfire, one person at each corner. Yeah. Not that tightly grouped.
We're not real fond of public transportation. So they're not grouping up on buses.
Even though we do have it, it's not that
It's not
thought out.
practical. It's not
Yeah,
practical for what we need here. The businesses are spread out all over. You have industry sites that are open 7 days a week, but the buses only run to them 5 days a week.
Yes,
And you
like
have to walk a mile. When they drop you off, you have to walk a mile to your building.
and like on holidays and weekends, I think the latest the buses run here in town is like either 7 or 8 p.m. and that's it.
So, you know, people that depend on public transportation here are really better off with a bicycle. Although they can ride a bike to the bus, and the bus will take them on the bike.
They do that. I think that's pretty good.
Buses have bike racks now.
Yeah,
It's very good.
They've at least done that.
Real quick, Killer B was wanting to know. He wants you to please tell him that the guy with the blue mask had a 3-piece tuxedo on as well.
Paint this image. So, around 6'3", 6'4", 165, 170 pounds, medium brown hair, cut very, very short, almost shaved in the back, blue mask on, green, very tight t-shirt, and khaki shorts.
Let's the colors somewhat go together.
Yeah.
I think we all need to get Guy Fawkes masks.
To our store one day with a dual mask. It looked like something from a video game.
We need a Guy Fawkes.
This right here. Of course, it's gone black on me.
It takes a minute to load.
Yeah.
Well, mine's done a little differently. I put mine there. That's the mask that none of y'all can see it. He walked in with something like that. I was just like floored.
That's a respirator you painted.
Yeah, it's a painter.
Yeah.
Which,
crazy?
Seriously, that would filter everything coming in, but it exhausts with no filtration at all.
Yeah, it was
and
bad.
N95 does the same thing. It exhausts with no filtration.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep, he did. He walked in that way. I mean, he sounded like Darth Vader.
Ah.
I'd like to buy a cell phone. Oh boy.
That's awesome. Well, Patty,
Yeah, I
have
don't
you?
know why. I'm seeing it on the live stream now. For some reason, it wasn't coming through on my end in the Skype windows. But yeah, that I don't know why they're calling that a gas mask. That's like you said, like for like a painter or someone doing like auto body paint work or something like that. That's
It is.
not what I would think of as a gas mask.
It filters out fumes.
And
So-
they're actually quite
Yes,
efficient.
technically.
They're very efficient. It has like a
No, I have no doubt that they are.
I mean, you get
It's
people
just not
walking
what I
around
typically
looking
think of
like,
as a
you know,
gas mask.
they're looking like
I would not
Bane
go around-
from...
This is for Killer B and Patty. I wouldn't go around in one of those asking people, "Are you my mummy?"
I know where that one came from. I watched that episode.
Rodney,
Did you?
Oh, yes, I forgot. Yes, you're a Hoovian too.
Yes, I watched that. That was weird. Oh, that was so weird.
My two favorite episodes of the first series of the new
Yeah.
show.
Mummy? Are you my mummy? Mummy?
And then if you notice, later on when David Tennant was on there, and they do the World War II episode with Winston Churchill, and a person walks by in a gas mask, David Tennant says, "Are you my mummy?"
I never realized that.
Okay, now I think I broke Killer B, because he just replied with, like, crying faucets, laughing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you look so 13.
He got a kick out of that one, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh.
I pretty much have said, if
Oh,
I wasn't born in America, I should have been born in England or Scotland.
There we go.
Oh.
yes, yes, yes.
That's awesome.
So, Patty, do you feel sufficiently ranted?
Then see, I wouldn't need BBC America. I just have BBC.
Okay, I've got a rant too after you,
I
Steve.
don't understand. Finish.
Oh, I've already had my rant, so we're good.
You want me? Okay. All right.
I'm
So,
used to it. You guys do this to me all the time. My only other comment was the joke's on him because he is doing nothing but showing what he feels about other people and how he disrespects his own self. So I just rolled my eyes at him and continued on. And most people were just avoiding him. So
It worked.
yeah, well,
Social
he's
distancing.
walking around going, I'm blue.
Great
Dabba,
way to-
dabba, dabba.
Let's go.
great way to
man.
social distance
Yeah.
because people are going to be taken aback
Well-
by it. So if nothing else, it's a great way to social distance.
He can walk around with some pipes going, dooba, 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 dooba.
Let's make some
What were
sense
the
out
these
here.
things that the kids
And
used to
silly
watch on
putty
TV?
across there.
Teletubbies?
Oh, don't
Walking-
get me
walking-
started on that. We've had
walking-
conversations about that.
Fucking Teletubbies.
Winky, winky.
So we do have an area of showers moving into our more immediate area, and there are some gusty winds with this stuff. They were saying 42-mile-an-hour peak at the ASOS in Joplin. Now they're saying 30 to 45 mile-per-hour winds, likely per the velocity data tracking east, and this is at Everton. So, I don't know that our side of town's going to get much this time. We got it all yesterday. That inch and a half.
And it poured.
I went out and pulled weeds where I have not been able to pull weeds all summer today. And I just reached down with one hand
Interesting.
and I was grabbing, these were maple trees and roses of Sharon that had grown about 2 foot tall. So you can imagine how deep their roots were. You know, yay tall. I was grabbing a handful and pulling them out of the earth.
Oh, wow.
I just walked along and I just cleaned the whole west side of the house. It was pretty amazing. We need another one of those. I've got another area to work on.
Or just
Not
let
really
Steve
a
keep the hose
rant.
on overnight, that kind of thing.
There you go.
All right, Ronnie,
not
it's
really
your
a grant, but
turn.
I guess a discovery.
Okay,
Oh, okay, go ahead, Rod.
it's gonna be short. And again, if you're watching and you're doing this, I hope you are offended. No, but I mean, no, seriously though, it really bugs me because I know obviously here in Springfield we have the masking ordinance. If you're gonna get a mask, get one that fits, and if you're gonna wear a mask, put it over your damn nose. I'm sorry, but the whole point of having the mask was to keep the mucus and stuff from coming out of your nose and your mouth. And I don't see how you're doing anything to help anyone other than just saying I'm wearing a mask, right? See, that was a short 30-second rant right there, but it just drives me nuts. If I have to wear a mask, I have to wear it correctly. Why is everybody else not doing it that way? Now they're going to start having a mandate where you need to put your mask on correctly. It's going to get to that point if it comes to that.
Safety pins, folks. If they're too loose, at least pin it down or get a little sewing kit and stitch it so that it fits you better. It takes 30 seconds on a mask.
Well, and
Yeah.
pretty much most of them across the top, they've got a little wire thing
Franklin,
in
you're
the maybe.
on.
Huh? What?
What? In chat,
Hi.
Green County. Green
Oh,
County.
Green County? Oh, okay.
We are what?
We had a warning.
I'm not in chat.
Ooh.
Second weather
Ooh.
advisory.
A weather advisory, okay. I
Oh.
need to plug the
Oh,
power supply in then.
Weather first, folks. Weather first.
Always.
oh.
Springfield has issued a significant weather advisory for southern Polk, northeastern Lawrence, Green, and South.
I'll be back in a moment.
Central 10:45 p.m.
Steve, I got me an adapter for my little thing. I'll hook it up to my car. I'll see if I can hit the repeater with the 5 watts I've got on this bad boy.
Oh, yeah. So I don't know if I mentioned it.
Wind gusts to 50 miles per hour will be possible with these storms. Strong thunderstorms will be near Walnut Grove around 10 o'clock. Ash Grove.
By the way, it's almost 10 o'clock. Should we probably close it up after they get off the radio?
Oh, I think we're okay. So
Okay. All right, just checking.
the you saw my HT.
I did. Yeah, I see it.
I got into it with that antenna.
Oh my, really? Awesome.
This thing's working pretty good for an old mobile antenna that's a hand-me-down junker. I ain't kidding. That's what it was.
Here, let me try mine real quick. Hopefully I didn't screw up the programming on it again.
Yeah, you're going to probably end up having to reset the PL tone. I got to figure out how far I am from it. I don't remember.
Okay. Let me reach back here. Unplug my speakers. I don't know if it made any noise out on the 6.4 while I was transmitting, but I get like this horrible buzzing sound on my speakers for the computer.
I did not hear you. I have the 6.4 and the 4.9 on, and I did not hear you.
Now, oddly enough, though, the other day when I moved everything around, I was hearing perfectly on the 4.9 with this, with the antenna here on the little table right by the corner of the window. You were cutting in and out, and what I could hear of you was staticky, so I guess I'm going to have to try to figure out some place to move the antenna again.
I'm 3 miles from Hammond's, and I pulled it up inside my shack with that little antenna. But I could bring my own repeater up from up on top with the HT inside the doghouse, but I couldn't do it on the ground with the mobile. Like,
Weird.
strange.
Maybe it was because of the extra elevation.
No, it had to be. It had to be. As soon as we get the pictures together, I'm going to get something so that people can see what we did. And they're going to look at it and go, come on. But considering what we had to work with tonight, I think it went very well.
Oh, yeah.
I have a MSR 2000 440 that's got the crystals in it.
Yeah, can you kind of hear that static in the 4.9?
Yeah.
It was not doing that Sunday when I set this all back up.
Something's
And I
changed. I'm
noticed in
full
this
scale here.
room- Well, I've noticed in this room, before I moved it the last time, before I moved the desk, and it was rock solid all the time, when we had weather was when it would do this. If we didn't have weather, it'd come in fine.
Yeah, it's probably atmospheric, Franklin, and
Yeah.
it's tough to overcome.
Oh yeah. I'll just have to kind of move it around until I find a spot that the next time I have weather, it comes in rock solid. I had that before I moved the desk.
Good grief.
Or as Michael Park said in Kill Bill, good gravy Marine.
I need to get some radar up here.
Yeah, I'm pulling up radar right now too. I got the weather statement read and I got it posted to the Greene County spotter page. Now I need radar.
Oh well, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it'll tune it right. It's just not holding it, Rodney. That's what I noticed. And it should be. There's just a button we're not pushing to make it stay.
Yeah. Well, I gotta learn how to use it. It's a good little radio, and compared to the Bowfang I carried, I have. Oh wow, I've got some really, really high volume right now. Hold on just a second. Okay, is this okay?
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of blowing that out a little bit. Okay.
No, you're good.
Anyway,
I think you sound fine.
I'm just looking at my board here. Anyway, I lost my track of thought. What I was going to say. Oh, this morning we had somebody having issues getting into the repeater.
Oh.
I couldn't hear him. Couldn't get anything come up. So I had him QSY to the 6.4. And when he keyed up, all I heard was just carrier. And he sent me the message over the club messenger, so to speak. And he said that his hand, I don't know if he got burnt or what, but he said that it kind of either shocked him or burned him whenever he tried to transmit.
Oh.
So that wasn't a good thing.
Wow.
Now, there's a
No,
good
that's not
chance he
good
was
at
probably touching. He could have been touching the antenna while he was doing it. I don't know.
Was it an
But
HT
hopefully-
or a mobile?
He was on an HT.
Huh.
Well, that's probably going to be max 5 watts. Of course, you don't ever want to touch any antenna while it's transmitting, but would 5 watts be enough to hurt you
shouldn't.
significantly?
You shouldn't even tingle it. So, was
Wow.
he hooked to a bigger antenna with maybe touching the coax when he transmitted?
He didn't appear to be. He just
Or I
said that he
wonder-
had.
Could he have some kind of faulty ground or a bare wire or something exposed by his radio?
He was not overly thrilled with the Chinese junk that he bought.
Oh, okay. Well, if he'd tell us what he really felt about it.
You can go in and see the transcript yourself. I tried to help him out though. It's just it was one of those things.
I don't necessarily think they're junk. I just think they operate a little bit differently than most of the Japanese radios do, and people who don't take the time to figure out what that difference is, they kind of get frustrated with it. So therefore they say, oh, well, this piece of junk just won't do what it's supposed to do. Well, it will. It's just you have to do it slightly a different way than the Japanese radios, where a lot of that extra work they do for you, and you don't have to manually program in both the transmit and receive frequency. You don't have to manually program in the offset. The Japanese radios, for the most part, they do that for you.
Yeah.
Well, I've got two UV5Rs with $1.63 antennas on them, and they work pretty well. I'm impressed.
I would like to have one just throw in the glove box of the car, just so that I have a cheap radio that if it gets knocked around, if it gets dropped in water, or heaven forbid the car gets broken into and gets stolen, I'm not out that much money.
Yeah.
No, just don't leave anything in your car.
Well, true. But I meant,
Yeah.
like,
Speaking from
if we're
experience.
out and about, I can throw it in the glove box, and I've got something in there, and then like at the end of the evening, take it out of the glove box, take it back up to the apartment with me. But
dang it.
So it looks like things are starting to intensify a little bit.
It does, doesn't it?
And it kind of looks like well, maybe that's just something else up ahead, but kind of between about Monet to a little bit southeast of Neosho. Is there kind of a little bit of an outflow boundary there, or is that just me?
I don't have radar directly up. I was just looking at the
a little bit of one. There's
Steve
actually a larger area of possible outflow around the Mount Vernon area.
Kind of maybe from about, is it kind of that kind of thick area, kind of from about Holberg up to about Hulltown?
Right.
Okay.
Right, out ahead of the storm.
I get.
Not
I guess
real
because
visible, but it's there.
Yeah, I guess because that was kind of real thick and kind of that. I guess maybe a little bit of ground clutter ahead of it. I guess I just all thought that was all together and that wasn't an outflow. But I kind of see what you're saying, where that kind of looks a little bit like an outflow. We are going to get some heavy rain in Springfield here in just a bit, I think.
Very shortly.
Looks like around the interstate and north of the interstate, maybe a little bit more so with that part that's kind of dipping down from Ash Grove, but that little line kind of back between Halltown and Miller. Looks like that may go through the center part and maybe a little bit of South Springfield as well. Looks like Fairgrove just maybe have got some rain. They got some rain going through Pleasant Hope right now. Niagara probably got a little bit of rain and is going to get some more. Marshfield's kind of look like it's maybe between two cells. See, this is why I need a third monitor.
Yep, you do.
Skype, Facebook,
I am
YouTube
totally
chat,
spoiled.
radar.
I'm totally.
You need
totally
4.
spoiled.
Oh, whoa, that's what I'm hoping for. When I get the Mac Pro going and I get another graphics card, I'm at least getting one that has one output. I'd like to see if I could find one that I can put in one of those other PCI expansion slots that will actually output to 2 more monitors. Okay, Killer B had chimed in just a few moments ago. He said he didn't know much about radio antennas, but from his experience, it sounds like an electrical problem may be either overpowering or bad wiring.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. But being an HT, you'd think they'd be a little better about that.
Yeah,
You would think.
But he's right. Absolutely right. If it were, if you've got a grounding issue,
Well,
I hate when RF comes back and bites you.
Particularly if he feels like it's like an electrical shock. That was kind of the first thing that I kind of thought about. Well, maybe there's an exposed wire or something that's hitting up against something conductive, and
I mean,
he's actually getting an electrical shock.
Yeah, I mean, he could have easily touched a small screw or something that, was not being grounded correctly, and it gave him a nice little bite.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That was my second thought was, well, maybe for whatever reason, not necessarily that particular model of radio, but maybe that unit, they just didn't get the grounding done great. rig on it, and it's just not grounding good.
Or maybe he opened it up and did something to it. I don't know. There could be a number of things.
Well, true. I don't think it's as prevalent sometimes in amateur radio, particularly maybe like the handheld radios, maybe more so like the larger bases or the mobile radios. Even though we're allowed to modify our equipment per our license, I just don't think there's as many people that do it as on the CB side, where everyone's got to open up the case and they got to tune the radio and got to turn those pots up to get just a little bit more power out of it, even though you're not supposed to.
There's more mods.
More mods.
Yeah, we need so much more mods that we can't understand what we're saying.
So
Echo.
good bite experience. I put my TS50 in the truck on the idea I was going to take it on a trip, and I decided to check into the Maritime Mobile Service Net 14300. I picked up the mic, keyed it up, and said my call sign, and just threw it. And realized my bumper was not grounded to the actual truck anymore. It was just rust. So I had to run a little copper strip from the bumper to the body of the truck, and it solved it. But man, I'm telling you, I threw that microphone.
Today's lesson, boys and girls, rust does not make a good ground connection.
That is true. That was 100 watts too. That's like, yowza! That hurt.
Yeah.
And RF burns are not the kind that like go away. They hurt worse as time goes along, and then a week later they start getting better. It's like, hey.
Oh, I bet, because I bet that RF energy, I bet that goes really deep, and it's just, it'd probably be, I'd say, similar to akin to being exposed to a microwave.
Oh, yeah.
Not maybe necessarily that it starts boiling instantly all the water in your cells, but I'd say it does damage near or on a cellular level.
Believe me, if killer bees would...
Here in the house that I think it had been picked up on the side of a road, or it was one of those somebody was giving away at a yard sale or something. I didn't bring it in here, I don't remember, but we needed a microwave at the time, and I was like, this ain't right, because you get near it and it felt weird when it was running, and it had a little crack, and I stuck my finger up there, and I've still got a numb spot on the side of my finger where I reached up and touched that while it was running. It's like, no, this goes bye-bye now.
Probably part of the protective interior had...
You got it?
Got cracked just enough. Some microwaves were leaking out.
Now...
I did. I hit the repeater.
If killer bees had been around back when I burnt my finger and taught me the proper English cussing, I would have done it too.
Wrong by including the word bloody.
Yeah. I mean, anything that there was, it needed it because it was bad.
Yeah. I was just saying, don't get him started.
I've got to teach you some good German, honey.
German too. Yeah.
Killer Bee wanted to know if that was a new sport, the 100-meter mic throw.
Yeah. I'm glad it didn't bust out a window.
I heard they were going to do that in the Olympics this year, but being it got postponed,
awesome.
that's actually going to be introduced in the 2021 Olympics.
I am glad I didn't bust out a window. Man. Yeah. And then I learned, make sure the grounds are good. And it's funny because that's actually way more important than what a lot of people think, because all the time you hear somebody go, you got RF in your audio. Well, you don't have that problem if you ground your antennas.
Yeah.
And then you could get into issues with ground loops and other different kinds of
Yeah, but that's... I learned. I learned. And there are a few out there that will learn. Trust me. There are others that will listen.
And there are those that keep on constantly coming to meetings with their fingers bandaged and they can't figure out why.
Don't be stepping on fingers now.
So, there was a little conversation, and I know that Franklin's not had his rant yet, but we were having a conversation because several people took pictures up on high this evening, and I'm of course like, send them to me. I can't find the ones that Mark took a year or so ago. And Jordan was like, so what pictures do you want? I said, do you want family pictures? I was like, no, up there. I said, but if you're going to beat that boy of yours, put him over your knee and spank his butt, I'd take a picture of that one. So I guess the young man needs it. He's having attitude problems. But anyway, Franklin, it's time for your rant.
I don't really have a rant today, unless it's to say, and it's very briefly, that on the way home I found out that McDoubles are now $1.89, and I just think that's too high.
Doubles?
McDoubles from McDonald's.
I thought those were $1.
They used to be. Then they were $1.19. Then they were $1.29, I think. Then $1.59. Then $1.69. And I thought it was either $1.50. They either stayed at $1.69 or they went back down to $1.59. But I found out this evening they are now $1.89. And for the difference in 10 cents, I'd almost rather have a daily double if they still do them, because they're bigger. You get cheese, mayonnaise, lettuce, and I think tomato on them that you don't get on the McDouble.
Man, it used to be you could get that, fries,
Oh,
get two McDoubles, a fry, and a Dr. Pepper. Granted, it was not like, it was really barely human food, but it was something if you needed it and didn't have much money.
Yes.
But no way I'm going to spend.
Which was my situation tonight. Otherwise, I would have drove to Harvey's.
The only thing McDonald's has is fish that's any good. Everything else is poo.
You and my mother like their fish sandwiches.
Hey, they still make them the same way they always did. They come from the North Pacific up there where the most dangerous catch TV show is from. The Pollock.
Oh.
And
you mean the lab that's on the shoreline of the North Pacific?
no, that's real fish still. Now I don't have a lot of good things to say about basically McDonald's. Their fries are good, but fish is the only thing that hasn't changed since way back. That's the only thing that hasn't been cheapened down.
I can't remember if Wendy's still has a fish sandwich or not, but they had one in the past that I liked a whole lot better. Burger King, I think, has one. I think Burger King and Arby's both have one during a Lent every year that I like better. They have a fried cod sandwich at Culver's that I like way better.
That is
It's like
primo.
That is the best fish sandwich
Yeah.
that there is.
I mean, it's like everyone that has a fish sandwich, I like it better than McDonald's. It's just me.
But, the last time I went and got 2 fish, a fry, and a drink, it was over $13. Just myself.
Oh,
and I'm like,
right.
you gotta be kidding me. No way. And how much is the
Yeah.
cod basket, Patty? I don't even remember.
I don't remember.
I mean, it's not that. It's not that expensive, and it's good.
Yeah. But my only other thing that I was going to say for rant was it's not so much a rant as a discovery. Here in the last few weeks to a month, I have discovered that on would be West College Street, between Campbell and Grant, There's a little shop that apparently sells bonsai trees. I don't know how long this place has been there, but I am threatening to stop in one day.
Yeah.
I want to see what they got and how much they are, because
I wonder if this is the place that had the big bonsai tree stolen the other day. I saw a guy post in 417 Scanner Chatter. And,
I think the name of the place is, I think it's the Bonsai Guys or something real close to that.
Interesting.
Because I have wanted for years, I have wanted a little Japanese maple bonsai that if I ever find one, I will probably pay more out of my rear end than I want to pay for it. Because those are typically popular and they typically go for high. But darn, I've wanted one. I want one. I want one to replace the full-size Japanese maple I had in my backyard.
You can come over and shape my U for me.
We've got a redbud that's almost bonsai.
Oh, okay. Redbud wouldn't be bad. We had a redbud that I got in school one year for Arbor Day in elementary school. It was like around 4th or 5th grade. That had got decent size by the time we moved towards the end of my freshman year in high school. We planted in the backyard when we still lived over on Atlantic.
We lost 2 in the ice storm of '07.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly after we got all that cleaned up, I found one growing in the yard, and it was just like 4 inches high. And I knew it was offspring of the other 2, and so I planted that. And so it's 13 years old now, and we have been shaping it all along. When it got big enough to prevent it from doing the redbud thing where it splits when it gets so big, I had Steve help me, and we twisted some of the big branches together and initially tied them so they would stay.
Gotcha.
And so that's what he said when it's almost bonsai-like, because we've kept it trimmed, but it's also twisted so that it grows more in a ball than it does out. So.
Oh.
No, yeah, that's definitely a good thing. Now, I assume this would work for that as well. We have always heard for like smaller plants and bushes and like vegetable gardens and stuff, like when you have to stake your tomatoes or something like that, if you want to tie them up with something that won't hurt the vines or the stalks or whatever, we have always heard to use pantyhose because it won't dig into the plant.
Oh, here's something that we haven't told Franklin. You remember the bush, the pink bush? Patty, you know the name of it. I don't.
Pink bush.
The pink bush that was out front of their house.
Oh,
okay, yeah.
So I got a start from that. I dug up a root, and it's doing real well now. I thought for a little bit it wasn't going to make it, but it's all grown up green, probably foot-long stems coming out of it. So,
you know, sometimes at first they do look like they're not going to pull through, but if you just kind of keep on with them for a little bit, they'll start doing better.
And the other thing, to answer a question I think you asked, Franklin, what about the stealth aircraft?
Yeah.
They carry a transponder, or Rodney. They carry a transponder, and now I'm reading from the Raytheon webpage. It's called Identification Friend or Foe. They're talking about the one used in the United Kingdom for their armed forces, but it's pretty much the same thing for ours. It uses a transponder that can be interrogated, and that's where the radar interrogation comes from. And it identifies what it is in code. And so if we have stealth bombers flying over, as they do periodically, standard aviation radar is not going to see them that well, but their transponder locates them, and so that you don't have trouble with other aircraft
Accidentally shooting them down.
not hitting them. We avoiding mid-air
Oh,
collisions.
man.
KD0 BWT mobile.
Now, in
Yeah,
a
you can't use the excuse, sorry I didn't see you.
yeah, in combat they don't use that if they're on a mission like one of those would do.
Switch it off.
They're radio silent, and they use a kind of a passive radar to make sure they're not going to hit something.
Yeah, because there's different things that you can do that's considered like passive radar, where you don't actually emit out a energy beam or signal, but you can take in and read anything that comes out around you.
Just
So,
FYI, someone was checking in on the 6-4.
BWT.
did they? Oh, you know what? That's because I'm not on the 6-4. I'm on the 4-9. I mean the 9-1. This is KD0RSJ. Go ahead.
This is just KD0 BWT. I'm mobile. Headed home.
Okay, thank you, Jeff, for being out there. If you do happen to see anything, this is just kind of starting to come into the Springfield area now. But if you do happen to see anything, do give me a holler here, and I will get it turned into the National Weather Service for you. I do appreciate you being out there. This is KD0RSJ.
Put your boots on. Or the
radio picks up good with that antenna.
Alright, that's clear. I know your name, I can't remember it for the life of me.
It is Franklin.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Franklin.
Foxtrot,
Romeo, Alpha,
November,
Kilo, Lima, India, November.
I need that Franklin, dadgummit, man. I'm sorry.
Someone for a while, you kind of forget. It's happened to me before, so that's no big problem.
I have that, and it's been a long day.
Oh, poor Jeff.
Well, yeah, that can add to it as well. So don't worry about it.
Alright, bud, how you doing?
I have been doing pretty good. Not too bad. Had a few kind of health, not necessarily issues, but kind of little concerns. But I'm sure everything will get straightened out. Otherwise, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, I know how that goes, bud. Well, I do again appreciate you being out there. Like I said, if you happen to see anything on your drive home, do let me know. I'm going to go ahead and go back to monitoring for right now and keep the Greene County page updated. But glad to hear you out there. I will clear on, well, not clear about monitoring on your final. This is KD0RSJ. Sounds good, Franklin. 73 Street, bud. And just FYI, it's starting to sprinkle here at Chestnut, Kansas. Alright, bud. We'll talk to you later. Good luck.
There's your report.
There it is.
KD0 BWT, I'm clear.
That's Caleb, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
think so. I didn't catch the call sign at first, but as he kept talking, I was like, that's Caleb. So, Killer B did kind of have a little rant that he's been sharing in the chat room here for a little bit.
Uh-oh.
One of his mini rants is
Oh,
people
we gotta have the rent call.
Oh, yes. Go ahead, Rodney.
Oh, okay. Here comes the rant.
Okay.
All right, go on with
So-
your rant.
One of Killer Bee's mini rants is people walking in and blocking the road, especially in big groups. He says that he had sent Rodney a pic the other day of showing one case that happened to him. I guess maybe it was today.
Yeah, he just sent me the pic. I'll share it.
Yeah, he said kids were in the road shouting abuse at cars and throwing rocks. He wasn't for sure. He didn't think that he could share the photos in the comments, so he said he'd send it to you, and if we wanted to show it, and I told him that we would ask you about that here in just a bit. He said it's like, the pavement is right there. Why do they need to walk in the road? And I can understand that, and I can agree with him on that. I mean, it's kind of dangerous, particularly if it's a busy street.
A Disney business road.
Yeah, it's a business street. Which is a business.
It's a business
street.
Disney.
But I mean, I can understand that. Now, his comment that the pavement, I'm assuming he's meaning the sidewalk, is right there, and in general, I would definitely agree. I guess me going into maybe a little bit of a rant. My biggest gripe about Springfield is our lack of sidewalks outside of commercial areas or main streets, particularly residential areas where you would think this town would want sidewalks for kids to walk on when they have to go pick up the bus at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning to go to school. Because people gripe and complain if they're walking across their yard. People gripe and complain if they're walking in the street.
Language being developed here, folks.
I know.
Stay
I know.
tuned.
We're learning a new language.
Plus, it's dangerous for them to be walking in the streets, even if it was in the middle of broad daylight. But especially that early in the morning where the sun may not have come up yet, it's especially dangerous for 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds to be walking in the street. And they off and on Springfield's talk about we need to put sidewalks everywhere. We need to get more sidewalks. But when they do it, it's along those major streets or in the commercial areas. It's to a lesser extent in the residential areas, and they have done some in recent years, but not nearly enough of the residential areas have sidewalks.
Back to what Killer Bee was talking about, we've had some of those same issues here in the States where you have, quote, protesters who, for whatever reason, the government entities want to protect, doing that same thing, and they're blocking major interstates, they're blocking major highways, and in large numbers, making it dangerous not just to themselves but for any motorists that are passing through. That's what the shoulder of the road's for, folks. Take your signs off on the shoulder of the road. Blocking people from going to work, from getting to emergency services, from preventing emergency services from getting through and saving people's lives is not acceptable. I don't care where you are. There you go.
We had a team rant right there.
Whoa.
Yes, we did.
Whoa!
Yeah, and I mean, I don't have a problem with people who want to peacefully protest along the side of the roads, at the corner of the intersections, along a walkway leading into a building. But whenever you're, particularly like you said, when you're blocking emergency services from getting to try to assist someone, or when you're blocking the whole road, that I think is taking it a step too far, and I definitely do not agree with anyone who decides that they want to start vandalizing, they want to set cars on fire, they want to break into stores and steal stuff.
to me, those aren't protesters. Those are people who are there using
They're
that
vandals.
as an excuse to do that stuff.
They are vandals.
I have a cat that wants to go out. Hold on.
Oh.
Instead of
Yeah, and then
for the calls,
you
it's
get to the
calls,
door
calls.
and open the door, and the cat looks outside, and then comes
And then he
back in.
turns around and walks
That's a
right
storm
back
cloud
away.
there.
Yeah.
I know.
Because it's raining. I'm not going out in that.
I deal
No.
with this all the time. He's senile.
You send
He
the
forgets
dog
that
out.
he walked in.
Are you sure?
And he'll
he's
sit there at the
senile?
door and go, out, out. I don't know if you can hear him or not.
Pee-wee, our miniature dachshund that we had, he would clamor to go out. We'd open the back door. He'd look out. It's raining or snowing. He might get out on the first step. He turned right back around and went back in. It's like,
He's
I ain't
quarreling
going
at
out.
me.
So, my daughter's got a 90-pound white Siberian Husky.
Oh,
This is
how much-
huge for a Husky. And that crazy dog, they
Here
moved
he is,
into a
right here.
house in Junction City, Kansas.
Oh, aren't you sweet?
That is sweet. They move into this house in Junction City, and it's got kind of a the decking had like slats across to keep kids from falling off the deck and that kind of thing. Shadow has always been a wuss when it comes to wet grass. He'll play in the snow all day long, but if it's water, he will not go there. He figured out he could aim between the slats and pee off the porch.
I never heard that.
oh my.
Yeah,
See, I could understand why our dachshund Pee-wee did not like to go out in the snow. We had an inch or two of snow on
I
the
wouldn't want
ground.
to go out in the snow either.
Pretty much the snow came up to the bottom of his stomach. Because he wasn't a full-size dachshund. He was a miniature, and he kind of made
Right.
up for it later on, but he was the runt of the litter. Poor
guy.
So it's like you get 3 or 4 inches of snow.
Are you living on?
Like, from here up is what was above the snow. He did not like snow at all.
This cat's like 17 or 18 years old.
wow.
We've lost count. My daughter
like-
went and got 2 kittens almost not quite 2 years ago, with the fears that he would no longer be with us, and he is still kicking. So now we have 4 cats. He's just
He is the top of the pecking order, I'm assuming.
he's kind of, scaredy cat if you ask me, but he's been a good cat, and like I said, he's very vocal. When he wants to go out, he goes out, out.
He's like, you 3 over there. I could whip you all if I wanted to.
Well, he's actually very.
But I'm not today. I can't be bothered. So just-
He's really skinny, and I mean, we feed him, but I think he forgets to eat.
Okay, Rodney, I'm pretty for sure you had, and Patty and Steve may have seen him too. Did you guys see Rocket
you
the
down.
Chihuahua that we had before we moved?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember your dog.
We fed him and fed him and fed him and fed him. He never gained weight. A few times he would fill out a little bit fuller, then it'd all go away. I mean, he didn't look emaciated, but there were a few times we thought he looked a little underweight. And I kind of wonder if he either didn't get very much out of his food, or if he had some kind of a nutritional deficiency. I'd watch one of the
Parasite?
shows.
I don't think parasites, because we warmed him. We didn't really see anything in his stool or anything.
Hookworms don't always show up unless you specifically go after them, and they can cause them to be kind of skinny. The other thing is, yes, if you use cheaper grades of food that have a lot of fillers in them, there's not much in there for them to bulk up on. Sad to say,
We had bought him some more substantial food, and that was kind of when he kind of seemed to fill out just a little bit. But then after he ate it for a while, it kind of went away. I was watching a program on Animal Planet one time before Grandma passed away, and this woman actually had her dog seized from her. Everyone thought she was not feeding the dog. They thought she was abusing the dog. The dog looked emaciated. You could barely start seeing the ribs and the hip bones. While it was in the animal care's care, up until her court case came up, they actually did tests on the dog, and they found out the dog actually did have a nutritional deficiency. They were almost to the point of force feeding the dog extra food to get it to put on weight. The whole time they had it in their care, it wouldn't put on any weight. The judge ended up finding her innocent and gave her back the dog.
Yeah, because they were tired of feeding it.
Another thing that people sometimes don't notice with their animals, and animals don't have a way of telling us, is when they have dental issues.
Yeah.
Which I babysit a cat when these friends of ours go on trips, which hasn't been much lately. But Wayne. Cat.
Wayne
Wayno,
the cat.
I know my Wayno. Wayne the cat. He's 12, 13. Wayne had to have a whole bunch of teeth pulled here lately. I noticed that he always ate better for me when I fed him wet food. And Jen would leave him some wet food for me to give him a little of as a treat when I was feeding him, because otherwise he might not eat when they were gone. But he got to where he wasn't eating the dry food at all, and she took him to the vet, and they pulled 6 or 7 teeth.
Can you imagine what it would be like to have to pull teeth on a cat?
They would be
Oh my goodness.
knocked out. It's hard enough to try to
read the joke about how to bathe a cat?
Yes!
toilet.
Get someone else to do it.
No, dude,
No,
you will
no,
die.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I could pull it up and read it. I don't know if I could carry on a straight face. But if we're gonna do this, you might as well. Here, I'll find it. I'll find it real quick.
Oh, this is hilarious.
Yeah, I guess apparently bad teeth are common with Chihuahuas. Rocket had lost a few of his teeth, and a few others were bad. The lady that we gave him to, which actually ended up being the niece of a lady that Mom went to school with, she ended up taking him to a vet and having the rest of his teeth pulled. They were just... They weren't all completely bad, but several of them were bad and needed to be pulled, and they said, he's not going to have very many teeth left. You might as well just go ahead and pull the rest of them.
Okay, I think I found it. Okay, I think I found it. I'm gonna read it. Okay. How to
Don't
bathe
drink
your
anything,
cat.
Franklin. Don't
I'm
be
not.
drinking anything.
Yeah, you will. You will.
I don't have much of anything in my cup left after this. I will probably go get something to drink.
Okay. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm going to go
Yeah, I'm
refill
ready.
mine while he's reading.
Okay, first, you need to dress for the occasion. A 4-ply rubber wetsuit is suggested along with a helmet, lace mask, and welder's gloves. Number 2, a bathtub with glass enclosure is preferred to the one with a shower curtain. A frenzied cat can shred one of these in about 3.5 seconds. Number 3, have the kitty bubbles and towel in the enclosed bathtub area beforehand. No blow drying the cat after the bath is not suggested. Number 4, draw the water, making it a little warmer than needed, as you will still need to find the cat. Position everything strategically in the shower so you can reach it even if you are face down and prone in, or prone in the tub. Number 5, I can't Sorry. Hold on. Okay. First, find your cat. Use the element of surprise. Pick the cat up nonchalantly as if you were simply carrying him or her to the supper dish. No need to worry about the cat noticing your strange attire. The cat barely notices you anyway. Number 6. Once you and your cat are inside the bathroom, speed is essential. In one single fluid motion, shut the door to the bathroom, step into the shower, close the sliding doors, and drop the cat into the water. While the cat is still in a state of shock, locate the kitty bubbles and squirt whatever part of him is above the waterline. You have just begun the wildest 45 seconds of your life. Remember that cats have no handles, and the fact that now it's his soapy fur, his state of shock has worn off, and he is madder than hell. As best you can, wearing welder's gloves, try to field his body as he catapults through the air toward the ceiling. If possible, give another squirt of kitty bubbles with his body now fully exposed. During the 5 seconds you're able to hold on to him, rub vigorously. No need to worry about rinsing. As he slides down the glass enclosure to the tub, he will walk or fall back into the water, rinsing himself in the process. Number 9, only attempt the lather and rinse process about 3 times. The cat will realize the lack of traction on the glass by then, and then will use the next attempt on the first available part of you. Number 10, next, the cat must be dried. No, this is not the easiest part. By this stage, you are worn out, and the cat has just become semi-permanently affixed to your right leg. We suggest here that you drain the tub in full view of your cat. Reach for the bottle of kitty bubbles. If you have done step 10 correctly, the cat will be off your leg and hanging precariously off your helmet, or from your helmet. Although this view of the cat is most disgusting, he will be in much better position for wrapping the towel around him. Be sure the cat is firmly wrapped in towel before opening tub enclosure. Open bathroom door. Put towel wrapped in cat in the floor. Step back quickly in the tub. If possible, do not open enclosure until you can see that this is a shredded towel. 13. In about 2 hours, it will be safe to exit the bathroom. Your cat will be sitting out there somewhere looking like a small hedgehog while plotting revenge. But doesn't he smell better?
So here's a shorter version and puts you in less danger than being in the shower with the cat.
Okay, go for it.
Put both lids of the toilet up, add 1/8 cup of pet shampoo into the water bowl. Pick up the cat and soothe him while you carry him towards the bathroom. In one smooth move, put the cat in the toilet and close the lid. You may need to stand on the lid. At this point, the cat will self-agitate and make ample suds. Never mind the noises that come from the toilet. The cat is actually enjoying this. Flush the toilet 3 or 4 times. This provides a power wash and rinse. Then,
Oh my gosh.
You have to have someone else with you because you need the other person to open the front door of your home. Be sure there are no people between the bathroom and the front door. Stand well back, far away as you can. I would suggest jump from the toilet into the shower and slam the door shut. The cat will rocket out of the toilet, streak through the house, and run outside where he will dry himself off. Both the toilet and the cat will be sparkly clean.
Signed, the dog.
Sincerely, the dog.
Sincerely, the dog.
Now, see, I was just thinking, you squirt the shampoo in the bottom of the tub, regulate your water and turn the shower on, close the glass enclosure, go get the cat, bring him into the bathroom, toss him over the top of the enclosure, wait about 10-15 minutes, open door, watch cat fold out.
Oh my god.
So, Jordan came up with this idea that he wants to replace the rack up on Hammonds, and I'm like, what are we going to do with the old one? And he kind of said something. I says, well, we could always push it off the edge.
Which led me to the ideal for our new segment on Jungle Chasers. Will it splat?
And then
Rodney, weren't you the one that lugged that thing up there?
I did. No, neither one of us. The former members of the club put
No,
that
was
rack
the
up there.
amplifier.
No, that was the 2 power supplies we had to take down. Oh my gosh. I had to enlist help from my friend.
Yeah.
And we did it.
Now, my ideal, if we don't do Will It Splat, is we take it out into the middle of a field with some baseball bats, and we send it off Office Space style.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that kind of led into the idea that we could actually maybe not do that, but make a video that looks like we actually did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then sell it for scrap.
Well, I don't know, but we at least could make the video that it looks like that's what we did with it. We just threw it over the edge.
I'm sure we could pull it off.
I think so.
Was that your car it landed on? Yeah.
My car will
That's a
be
different
way far away from there if that happens.
I bet that would be awesome to see if somebody did that, though. You know, I seen somebody cleaning the windows on the very top part.
Would
From-
that scare them?
from a rope.
coming around on the
Or
other
you know
side
what
of
we
them.
could do? We could sacrifice it in the name of science. We
Oh,
could
this is
build
good.
an egg cage into it and see if when it lands on that parking lot asphalt, will it protect the egg from cracking? It's in the name of science. How can they not sanction it?
Dude, there's been a lot of travesties perpetrated in the name of science.
True.
Well,
but
all I gotta say
Let's do it.
after our experience tonight is, dadgum, that thing works good for just the hunk of junk that it really is. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I was overly. I'm hitting it full quieting, like full
So
scale.
is this what was in our garage, or is this a different unit?
Different one.
This is the XPR 8300 that was acquired.
Ah.
I would more say
See, y'all haven't kept me up on this stuff. So we no longer have a repeater in our garage?
No, we still have another repeater in there. We have a
I think
UHF
functional.
MSR 2000 that is got the crystals for 444.4. It's just that we acquired the other one. Rodney, are you still listening?
To the repeater?
Yeah.
Yeah. See if I can get it.
KA0SPM.
Oh,
K0FZ.
Nope. You didn't get in.
No here? No hearing?
I didn't hear you.
Dadgummit.
Have I got the PL tone right in your HT that's in here?
Should be.
Oh.
I heard it keying up just.
Call again, Rodney.
Hold on just a second.
In our HDs, it's in 102. Memory location 102. SG4400. Sounds good.
I heard that.
I'm sitting in my
KA0SPM.
Yeah, I got that. Sounds like a Pong game.
I know. Is it bad?
I'm trying to program it into my radio now if I can remember how I store it. I may actually have to pull up the menu. I mean the
K0FZ.
Whoa. I heard it. You know, it works better than the 4.9 on the HT.
Yeah, and you know what? It is on low power.
Yeah.
I've got this connected to my, I've got a,
oh my lord.
Outside antenna.
yeah, that's my J-pole.
I don't have
I
a...
think I can hit the 4.9 on this one. Let
That
me
last
see.
thing you posted, Killer B, was absolutely hilarious.
Killer B posted something?
Oh yes. He was playing a little bit of mischief on a friend of his who was cleaning his car.
Oh.
12 times.
He shared it on the...
In the
yeah.
YouTube chat.
I'll have to go back and watch it.
Radio docs and radio. Manuals. Yay, icon.
Let me see if I'm gonna see if I can hit the 4.9.
2730A.
K0FZ.
Mostly.
There you go. Yeah, you were in there.
Dang, that came in good.
I
Yeah.
remembered how to put
I heard
the PL
most
tone
of
and
it.
everything in. I just don't remember how to save this now to a memory channel.
What radio are you on?
It's a 2730. I'm pulling the manual up right now.
Hey Steve, go to Simplex real quick. I want to see if you can hear me.
Simplex which?
146.52.
Okay, hang on.
Okay. Put this over here for now.
Alright. Okay, I'm on it.
What was that? Oh, okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Page 30.
K0FZ.
I did not hear it.
I did not hear
Do it
it.
again. Do it again. Something was in there. Do it again.
Kilo 0.
I got it.
Ha!
Didn't come in for my radio.
Killer. She's got a shorter antenna than I've got.
KD0 APL.
I'm not
Holy
hearing you
crap,
either,
we're
Pat.
doing it on Simplex. That's cool. That's like all the way across town. That's
Oh
awesome.
gosh, there's a separate button.
There's
for
a
that.
spot on the middle of the top of my house that's like simplex heaven. I've talked to her all the way to the airport.
Yeah, he has. And we've actually talked to Ozark. We used to talk to Jameis.
Well, shoot, I could hook this up to my other one. I can push 50 watts and see if you'd hear it that way.
This is on mid-power
I don't know if I
on
got
my...
it.
You were coming in full scale.
Yeah, that was just mid-power.
I wonder if the band is maybe enhanced a little bit.
Well, maybe with this...
KA0 SPM.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Did you hear that,
Kinda
Rodney?
blew her up. No, I didn't hear you on the 146.
Okay.
I did.
She did.
You about blew out your transmitter.
And that's not even... I've got 5.2 in this radio already. There it is. KA0 SPM.
Hey, I hear it that time.
Okay, I don't get why that's.
That's just a 20. I got you. S5.
S5?
Yeah. And I'm on low
That's
power.
Yeah, that's on high power. Let me turn it to low. Guys, this is why ham radio is so much fun.
KA0 SPM.
I got you 3 bars.
Yeah, S5 again.
Well, okay, that was still high. Let me do
5 to 7.
K0FZ testing.
Nope.
No, so the low power is not doing it.
Nope.
Here's medium low, whatever that means. K0FZ.
Nope.
Nope. So it's gonna have to be high power for sure.
Made the needle wiggle a little bit.
Let me go ahead and try it here real quick and see what I got. KD0 RSJ testing.
Are you on 146.52?
I thought it was 444.400.
Yeah, we're doing
Oh, that's
both.
the repeater.
We're
Yeah.
doing both.
Well, you're on the
I did-
repeater.
I didn't hear the
I didn't
repeater
get ya.
key up.
I didn't.
I
get
didn't
Okay.
hear it like it keyed up or anything either.
All right, I'm on now. Go.
KD0 RSJ testing.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, nothing. Did you check your PL?
And offset.
I thought, yeah, offset seems to be positive. It's tone, well, it's off. I set that just a second ago. I thought.
Sounds like a Kenwood problem.
Yeah.
Have you got a dual band antenna?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Okay.
But it went off, so what am I doing wrong? Yeah, but it keeps on going. Okay, well now it's showing. Maybe, well, no.
So I got me a 1 terabyte solid state drive off Amazon refurbished, and so I'm going to clone that and put that in my machine. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Okay.
If
I don't
which-
think it had the tone on earlier. Let me try this again.
Go ahead. I'm ready.
Well, no, I'm going ahead and I'm resetting the memory channel.
It's interesting. The tones on that repeater sounds different. You know,
I don't
than like
I'm not a fan of the CW ID on it. It's not good like the like the MSRs are. MS.
Yeah. I mean, it did the job, but
Yeah.
So let
it
me
didn't
try
say
this.
W0EBE. Who might
Yeah, I'm
you
ready.
be?
I'm
Yeah.
KD0RSJ testing.
Oh, I heard him.
Full scale.
Yeah.
Nice.
There it is.
And there's Jordan's fast little CW.
Well, no, but hey, that's not bad. It worked.
No. I guess apparently for some reason before I set the memory channel, the first time I'd done something and accidentally turned the tone off because I don't remember seeing T there and it's there now.
So go
Yeah,
to
you came in
5.2
full
and
scale.
go
Nice.
to
And that was
5.2
on low
simplex.
power. What was that?
Go to 5.2 simplex.
444.52.
146.52.
14652.
146.52. Calling frequency. If it gets bad, we can go on 550.
I never hear anybody on 5.2 anymore.
Okay, let me try 146.
I don't when I'm traveling either.
This is KD0RSJ testing.
I heard you.
Nice. That was full scale.
Full scale everywhere.
Yeah,
That was
still
awesome.
low power. And I'm thinking low power on this radio, I think is 10 watts.
That was low power?
Yeah. I think it's low 25 and 55. But
Alright, I'm going to my big one. Hold on.
Or at least I thought the specs were at the end of the manual. Maybe they're at the beginning. Oh no, wait, specifications right here. Transmitter.
Alright, let's see here.
K0
SZ.
S7 again.
That's on low power on this guy. I think
Okay.
this is 10 watts on low power.
Okay, yeah, I take that back. Actually, it's 50 high, 15 mid, and low is 5 watts.
I'm testing low power.
Okay.
KD0 AEL.
Fine.
Yeah, I got you. You were low, but I could hear you.
You
and
had,
you were
um,
clear.
On my end, you had just a hair little bit of static in the background, but not much. Your voice came completely over it.
Huh.
If that little static wasn't there, you would have been full quiet.
This is a great little radio. I'm very pleased with it.
Which one
You
is
think
it
we-
again?
The V10
The
Kenwood.
Kenwood dual band? Yeah.
G TMG7 something. 710.
G710. Yeah,
I
it's
was
the
considering
TMD
an
710.
older- I was considering an older version of that at one time.
I've got a
I had
G707.
I heard
truck.
myself coming through Steve's radio like gangbuster, and that was just on low power.
I had the V7, and the animals had run through and drug the coax out across the steps going into the living room, and I tripped on it, pulled the radio down, and it never worked off the left bank after that. And Jordan looked at it and said there were some other issues with the radio. He
What
couldn't
model?
fix it for me, so I got this one.
What
The
model
V7.
radio was the old one?
V7. It was like the great 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 grandfather of this one.
See, I got one from Lindell that got overvolt. And it's a dual band Kenwood like that. I don't think it's the same model though.
I got this from Jim McManigal.
I was with you when you got it.
You did. I'm
And you've
telling
got-
the boys.
You've got the GPS module in it so it can be used for APRS.
Yes,
Nice.
But you lose one bank if you do that.
right.
And
Oh,
see on
really?
my 707, I'm not a dual VFO. Mine's just a single. But it's dual band. Guys, I think our weather is past us.
Probably.
It
Yeah,
is.
did it kind of fizzle out?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I got 11:10.
We've been at this for 2.5 hours.
Oh my gosh. I forgot. Jeez.
But we did some of the preliminary repeater testing that needs to be done, which I'm going to carry on doing. You know what, Patty? You remember that time we were testing the 6.4 in the car? It was Rodney that was on the other side of that. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah. When we were driving around, checking it out around the county.
Because right now I've got a huge curiosity of how good or bad that antenna actually is. Because right now it sure seems like it's working pretty darn good. It theoretically has the same gain as the commercial one that'll replace it eventually.
Are you thinking about driving around the county and checking it out?
Oh, I don't know about county, but I'm probably going to drive around a little bit and see what it is. Although we and I got to work tomorrow. We got to be adults.
I thought it was so funny though how we were up there doing that and all of a sudden Billy comes across. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
has he been sitting there waiting for us?
Yeah.
I mean, he knew
Well,
we were
I
doing it
think
because obviously
he
we were talking
said-
on the board, but still.
Well, I think he said a lot of times when he's sitting there by the computer, he has the radio on scanning either frequencies or scanning memory channels. So he either must have been scanning frequencies and it just picked up, or he'd already pre-programmed in the information for the repeater and was just scanning through memory channels and just happened to hear us.
It's possible.
Yeah.
He had it on his HT though, so he was outside when he was doing it.
Oh, okay. He was on his HT.
That's still. It blew me when I was like, oh, that's Billy. I guess we got our two-way conversation.
Yeah, because we wanted to test it and we were going to talk to each
George
other.
River was like, we need to do a full duplex test before we leave up here, and then it was like, oh, N0 SRO.
Yeah, where did that come from? It's like he was listening to us the whole time.
Yeah, I just got a call from the weather service, and they said that they saw you guys putting the repeater up on top of Hammond, so I thought I'd turn this on and see if I could get a hold of you.
Yeah.
Oh, and Killer B just now posted, apparently he has a similar sentiment to it as all of us. He said he doesn't want to adult with a frowny face.
Oh no, nobody wants to adult.
No.
Yeah, we have to make food and.
Adulting, no good.
I have a pickup to do at Sam's, which means I'll probably stop at Harder House. And that'll be a short one though. And in 5 days, I start vacation.
Hey!
Nice.
I
Well,
don't have to adult.
I did not show you guys the new console I got for the truck. I kind of had just kind of a metal plate that I mounted a radio on in the old one, but I did put the dual band Kenwood in, and the cup holders are just sensational. It's like you just plunk them in. It's like it should be. The big deal there is on the trip, I think we want to have our the seat clear between us, although we'll probably have the
Cameras.
we'll have cameras and charging.
Oh.
I do have 3 outlets for USB to charge stuff. Any more you got to. We're getting new phones tomorrow, right?
Saturday, and I don't think the cases are
tomorrow.
going to be here till Monday. So I don't know that we want to switch over till we've got them adequately protected.
True.
Are you guys both getting the Samsung S10s?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Ha, hot dog.
Well, you
So
kind of.
I got my tax return,
Oh,
and it's our anniversary week, and I couldn't think of a better present for both of us because we're both using the S5.
I know. I noticed that. You guys are just limping
So,
along.
We
I've
are,
got a new radio on the or a new phone on the horizon. Everybody keeps telling me my microphone's not working half the time. So.
and I'm getting that, and I go to do stuff with it, and it'll hang up on me. It freezes up on me. I use sea cleaner in it all the time, and I just can't get it going. I did clear out, and I've got almost 4 gig of free space in it. That was part of a problem, but it's only got 16 gigs. You know, who can even manage with that these days? So
we
And
needed
I was limited
we
with
needed
32.
inexpensive phones, and when we got them, they were not that old. They were not that far away technology. They were still pretty good.
we're
But
getting refurbs, so I'm getting them at about half price. And these S5s were refurbs, and how many years have we had them?
Long
I
time.
did get an extended warranty with these, with the S10s. You get 30 days for any eBay deal. I felt like we needed a little bit longer, so I got a year. But they're 128 gigs internal memory, and they are like rocket ships in comparison. So
Yeah,
I don't know that I'll need my tablet anymore.
before the end of the year, I want to get a new iPhone, and just depending on how much money I have to play around with, probably more likely either a 7 or an 8. But I really would like to maybe put in a couple $100 more and possibly get one of the new SEs. Cause
Well, you do know the SEs are cheaper than the 8s and the 7s.
Well, through Straight Talk, I think you can get a 7 for like $199, and no, not the larger size ones, just the plain 7s. And I think the 8s are like 2 something.
noisy monitor.
Let's see, I can't remember the SE. Not the. I think they start out at 64 gigabyte, but I think they got one that's like maybe like a 128. That's like $50 higher, so I think it's like $449, and I think the one that's like the 64 gigabytes is like $399. Well, if I add in a couple $100 from what an 8 would be through Straight Talk, I could buy a new SE, get their bring your own phone package, which is like about, I think, $50 for the SIM card, and then it comes with a $45 card, which is what I always get anyway. So
You'd have to get a new
it wouldn't
number
be that
though.
bad. No, I could transfer my number over. I just would have to have a new SIM card because I did not realize it. Straight Talk locks the SIMs to the phone, so I can't take the SIM out of my iPhone 6, even though it's the same kind of phone the same kind of SIM the SE takes. It's locked to my phone, so that's why I have to buy a new SIM card.
So I was looking into a hotspot or a phone on limited whatever for the trip, because we're going to be in U.S. cellular territory and you can't get through on anything. And they have this bring your own thing going on. Our phones are not supported for that, so I guess we'll have to wait till we're in the hotels and in the bigger cities to have anything. We'll be out on the road.
We're gonna spend a day in the quote driftless area, or which that's technically what it is, because no glaciers had went there, but
Gotcha.
it's there's no AT&T, there's no Verizon. They just don't care about that little rural part of Iowa. And so you get back into Cedar Rapids, restart the phone, and you're back on again. So it's like, we'll be fine for a few hours.
Yeah,
We
see,
won't
that's-
have anything though from the border.
No, we will.
To Cedar
I
Rapids.
never
We
lost.
didn't when we went to Des Moines.
I
when
never
we went
lost
to Des
4G
Moines,
LTE until I got
Well-
north of Cedar Rapids.
When we went to Des Moines to your niece's wedding, and we wanted to pull up some map information, we had nothing until we got to Des Moines.
Well, that was because we were on 65 or 35.
We were on I-35.
Right, but when you're over east, I never lost 4G LTE until north of Cedar Rapids, so we should be okay there.
Okay.
And I would think, you know what bugged me was that it was 20 miles out of Cedar Rapids. You'd think even in the upstairs of the house you could like restart the phone and get 4G LTE up there, but it wouldn't. It just would not do it. But hey, you know, we're a long ways off the interstate, and I haven't been up there in a couple of years. See, I had a little bit of data, but AT&T still had their edge turned on, and they turned it all off, and so there's just nothing.
Right. Yeah, there's nothing. Nada. Not even the weather, so we're going to have to really be on our
No
game
weather?
when we're going to
No
be...
weather?
No weather, no weather.
No weather, no weather, no weather. That's almost kind of like no whammies,
Not
no
gonna
whammies,
know whether
no
or
whammies.
not to use the
Stop.
weather.
Oh, I got a weather. The all-new Press Your Luck.
How the
Coming
heck?
soon on these stations near you.
How the
Well,
heck are they
I think
doing
it sounds like we're winding down, folks, not only in
Oh, yes.
in what we had for you, but in our blathering as we go along. So I'm going to propose that we end the feed now, and
Time for the 73 round.
This is almost getting to me divesting into the levels that I used to get that last hour and a half at Teltec.
Okay, let's get off here now.
Yeah. Okay,
Otherwise,
I'll
I
start.
will start talking to characters I create in my own mind.
This is KA0 SPM Steve saying 73 to all that joined us and put up with our zany, whatever you want to call it tonight. We had fun though. Thanks for coming in.
Hope you learned something.
Yeah.
This is KD0RSJ with the cast of 1,000 up here, saying 73s to everyone.
This is K0FZ. This is Rodney saying 73. We'll see you guys next week.
and this is Patty, KD0AEL, and I wish you a blessed and happy rest of your week and into the week to come. Be safe, be weather aware.
And don't
73.
forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends. We
Yes.
need as many followers as possible.
All right. Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
So, with that, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.